Today on the Point Blank Performance YouTube channel, we got a brand new 22 L5P strapped on the dyno. Before we get underway, let's recap on the LML. Did we hit that 800 rear horsepower? We had a little bit too much pulse width up top, so we pulled back the fuel so that way we could gain rail pressure and make some big power. So I'm on the dyno, I loaded a little harder, we got that Garrett G series underneath there, and guess what? It started to do work. Good enough that the stock transmission with 162,000 miles on 35-inch tall tires said, I want no part of that kind of power. So we had to stop. What's that mean? When I do a pull, I'm in 5th gear, I load it right around 2,300 RPMs. When I mash it to the floor and I don't feel the power smoothly come on and it just goes whop, I have to stop. Because when I do that, or if I keep making a pull through there, the heat's gonna get going because it's slipping, so it's friction the whole time. So I stop, pull back the fire, update the customer, hey, you wanna go out, have a lot of fun in it, the transmission will not last long. But on the power that we've got in there, it's conservative. You can go out and drive it around, but ultimately, we're gonna be back for that 800 rear wheel horsepower one of these days because the transmission is stock and it will go out. So now guys, we're gonna jump underneath the hood of our 22 L5P, check out the D3 HP package. Today on the Point Blank Performance YouTube channel, we're talking about a 22 L5P all the way from New Mexico. We're talking about our D3 HP package, and that's what this 22 L5P is getting. Let's dive underneath the hood and check out the key component in making a D3 package. We're underneath the hood of our 22 L5P. Now keep in mind, this truck will feature our D2 HP package platform. The big air box, the intake, the hot side intercooler pipe, the cold side intercooler pipe. What did I not talk about? I did not talk about upgrading the factory turbocharger. You can take a look here. This is a 62 millimeter setup. They've not changed these all the way from 17. That's right, if you own a 17 model, you've got all the goodies of a 22 model. We've proven, we've made 592 rear wheel horsepower out of them. But when you go to push them, you're going to overspeed the turbocharger and you can cause the engine much damage. So what do we have to upgrade? We're going to be upgrading this to a Stealth 67mm G2 setup. We will not be touching the high pressure fuel pump or the factory injectors. We're after 600 rear wheel horsepower. Let's dive underneath the truck now and check out one key component in making that power. So we're down here on the 22 L5P. No, we're not swapping out to some drag wheels to make more power. We're actually taking off the factory exhaust manifolds and the up pipes and replacing them with an upgraded version. So why in the world would you upgrade the factory exhaust manifolds? Well, now let's go to the table and check out the two key components in making our D3 HP package. So what do we have on the table? We got the brand new Stealth Calibrated Power Solutions G2 64mm drop-in turbocharger. Guys, if you've been following along the channel, if you're a fan, you know we've got a 67 that we've ran on the L5Ps. We've made great power out of them. Hell, we've pushed the ever-living hell out of the factory units. We've made tremendous power out of them. So why do we have a 64 that we've never tested before? Because of this. We want to deliver to the end user, the owner of this truck, a driving experience better than factory. Well, how do you do that? Well, if you got a 67, you're a little big, it could be a little lazy. When I say lazy, we're pertaining to the wheel here. So we got a compressor wheel here, we got a turbine wheel here. The bigger we go, the slower the spool, so the drivability goes down. So the 64s where Calibrated Power Solutions came in, they're like, we're gonna deliver a 64 and you're gonna have a hell of a time operating your truck. So now it's our chance to get to test this dude and give you guys some feedback. So it's a 64. We talked about it here. How big is your compressor wheel in your factory truck? It's a 62. So you're like, all right, Tyson, 2 more millimeters of compressor wheel is really gonna make that big of difference. Well, yes, and here's why. because you went 2 millimeters higher here, but in the back, they also give you all the goodies. You've got the turbine wheel here that's much larger. You've got the variable vanes inside of it that they re-engineered so you get all this exhaust flow. We're working with stock fuel. Now, if we had a lot more fuel, I'd say, hey, let's do the 67, but for this setup, we want to get specific, we want to do the 64. So guys, we're after 600 brewable horsepower. We got the 64 set up in the front, we got the big ass turbine wheel in the back, but what's going to help us get all this engine flow, better yet exhaust flow, to this turbocharger to feed it through the intercooler and make power? On the table, we got the brand new PPE exhaust manifolds and up pipe for the L5P Duramaxes. Guys, we're excited about these. Why? Because we've not got to put a set on and see what kind of power gains we can achieve. We're after 600 brewable horsepower. We've got a recipe here. Let's dive further into it. These, you look at them and say, well, they're not really, you know, to the eye, they're just a big hunk of metal. They're not, they're cast. The cast ones on your factory truck pretty much last the long life of it. They handle heat, they've proven themselves, and these are cast as well. And you'll go, well, I spent money on these. Why would I upgrade when they look the same? It's not about the look, guys. It's about what's inside. So you're looking at them. These are much larger. Take a look at this. In my right hand, I've got our factory unit. In my left hand, we've got the upgraded PPE unit. Much larger, much larger. And anytime we're in a high performance application, we want all this to be smooth, free flowing. When I get in here, we've got exhaust gases going in each of these ports. It's got to come out through this little triangle here and travel up to the turbocharger. We really do not need a choke point in it. In the factory one, you can clearly see we have a choke point in it. So these are far superior over the factory unit just by looking at them. You can see all the air will be able to flow much more freely. Now, once we travel out of this exhaust manifold, we have to go up to something. What's our next thing? We're talking about the exhaust up pipes. So much more specifically, the turbocharger to manifold up pipes. These are made from 304 stainless steel. They are badass. The cool thing about them, they've got all the factory heat shielding parts on here, so you can put that cladding on and you get maximum heat to stay in here, because you actually want the heat to stay inside the exhaust manifold up pipes, travel to the turbocharger. Exhaust is energy. If you lose the heat, you could possibly lose power. So you want it to travel through here, stay in those manifolds, go through these up pipes, spin that turbo wheel, then guess what? Give it out. It's all good and it's fine. So we've got the recipe laid out. We've got the badass exhaust manifolds, we got the up pipes, and we got the baddest turbocharger on the market. Can we hit 600 brewable horsepower, or does all this mean nothing? There's only one way to figure out. It's dyno time. Guys, we just finished up with our first pull on the L5P. Now keep in mind, we don't give it all the power out front. We got to start somewhere, record the data, and then review it. What do we end up making? 579 brewable horsepower and 1,165 feet-pound of torque at 2,600 RPMs. This thing's going to kill the tires. Now, we've reviewed the data. We did all that around 30 pounds of boost. We're going to add some more sauce to it and see if we can jump over that 600 brewable horsepower. Let's hit it again on the dyno. Guys, we just loaded a bigger file to the truck. We loaded the dyno a little bit harder. Want to see if we can get that power to carry on out in the RPMs. And guess what? The truck is now delivering power that we wanted to see. Take a look at the graph. The truck ended up making 613 rear-wheel horsepower and 1,179 feet-pound of torque. Guys, we're almost at that 70 horsepower gain over the original factory turbocharger. That's right. Factory turbocharger on one of these 20 plus L5Ps delivers 550 rear-wheel horsepower. Well, hell, we just put 73 more down. So we're getting impressed with it. I'm happy with it. This is where we're going to call it a day for you guys. Make for sure you jump on the Instagram channel, because when Phil rolls out, it gets a little cooler. It's 100 out here. I'm going to see if I can get around 80 horsepower more out of this build. I'll be happy with that. So guys, make for sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Any questions on today's D3 package on the 20 plus L5P, drop us a comment below. We'll see you next week here at Point Blank Performance.